The rifle jams on the third shot. March 15, 1967. Staff Sergeant David Chen squeezes the trigger. First round fires, second round fires, third round, click. Nothing. The bolt doesn't move. The rifle is frozen, jammed, dead. Chen is 28 years old, Vietnam for 6 months. This is his first major firefight as squad leader. His platoon is pinned down. Viet Cong automatic weapons firing from tree line 60 meters away. 12 Americans behind inadequate cover, taking casualties, returning fire, except Chen. Because his rifle is jammed, he racks the charging handle. Nothing. Pulls harder, nothing. The bolt is stuck solid. The chamber is fouled. The rifle is useless. 4 days in the jungle and it's dead. Around him, more rifles fail. Private Torres, click, jammed. Private Wade, click, jammed. Specialist Morrison, click, jammed. One by one, the rifles die. 7 out of 12. 58% failure rate. In the middle of a firefight, men shooting at them and their weapons don't work. Chen watches Private Torres try to clear his jam. Can't. Torres is exposed, standing, fighting the rifle. A burst of AK fire hits him, chest, neck, face. Torres drops, dead, killed while fighting his own weapon, killed because the M16 failed him. Chen crawls to Torres, checks for pulse, nothing. Torres is 19 years old, in Vietnam for 6 weeks, dead because his rifle jammed at the wrong moment, dead because the weapon he trusted killed him through its own failure. Chen picks up Torres's rifle, examines it. The case is stuck in the chamber, swollen, wedged. He tries to extract it with a cleaning rod. Can't. The case won't move. The chamber is coated in black carbon, thick, like tar. 4 days in the jungle and it looks like the rifle hasn't been cleaned in months. But Chen knows Torres cleaned it that morning. 8 hours ago. 1 patrol and it's destroyed. The firefight ends. The Viet Cong withdraw. Chen's platoon calls medevac, evacuates casualties. 3 dead, including Torres. 7 wounded. 7 rifles jammed. The Americans won because artillery saved them, not their rifles. Artillery, because their weapons failed. That night, Chen sits with Torres's rifle, stares at it. This weapon killed a man in his squad, not the enemy. The rifle, this plastic piece of shit that the army issued, that they trained on, that they were told would keep them alive. It killed Torres. It failed 7 men. It's a liability, a joke, a death trap. Chen makes a decision. Never again. Never again will someone in his squad die because their rifle failed. Never again will he trust what the army tells him. Never again will he accept weapons that don't work. He's going to fix this somehow. He's going to make the M16 work. Or he's going to figure out why it fails. Or he's going to find a way to keep his men alive despite being issued garbage. But never again. Never another Torres. This is the story of how one sergeant's obsession fixed the M16. How David Chen spent 6 months illegally modifying rifles. How we discovered what the army wouldn't admit. How he built weapons that worked when issued rifles failed. How the army tried to stop him. How his modifications saved hundreds of lives. And how what Chen discovered in the jungle became the secret every soldier learned, but the army never officially acknowledged. If you want stories about weapons that fail until one person's obsession fixes them, where desperation creates innovation and regulations become obstacles to survival, hit subscribe right now. Because what happens between March 1967 and September 1967 will prove that the M16's problems aren't unfixable. They're design flaws, manufacturing shortcuts, and Chen will solve them, not through proper channels, not through official programs, through 6 months of obsessive experimentation, through illegal modifications, through breaking every regulation, through building rifles that work when issued rifles fail, through turning the joke into a weapon, through proving that sometimes survival requires ignoring what the army tells you and figuring out the truth yourself. 1 week after Torres dies, March 22nd, 1967, Chen is at the firebase. Off patrol, studying the failed rifles, all 7, disassembled, spread across a poncho, trying to understand what happened, why they failed, what connects them. Every rifle has the same problem: stuck case in chamber, swollen brass wedged tight, carbon buildup coating everything. The chambers look like chimneys, black, fouled, destroyed. Chen examines the ammunition. M193 ball, standard 5.56mm. The powder is ball powder, dense, dark. He researches the ammunition specs, learns something critical. The M16 was designed for IMR powder, stick powder, burns clean, low residue. But the army switched to ball powder, cheaper, more shelf stable, but burns dirty, leaves heavy carbon deposits. The rifle wasn't designed for this powder. The powder fouls the system, causes failures, but Chen can't change the ammunition. He's stuck with ball powder. That's what they issue. So he needs to make the rifle work with ammunition it wasn't designed for, needs to compensate for the army's cost cutting, needs to solve a problem that shouldn't exist. He focuses on the chamber. That's where cases stick. That's the failure point. The chamber walls are rough, machined aluminum, not smooth, not treated. When carbon builds up on rough surfaces, brass cases swell and stick, can't extract. Rifle jams. Chen has an idea, a crazy idea. What if he polished the chamber, made it smooth, glass smooth, so carbon can't grip, so cases can't stick? Would that work? Could that solve the stuck case problem? But there's a problem. Modifying government property is illegal. Destroying a rifle, even to make it work better, is a court-martial offense. The M16 is government property. It's issued as is. Soldiers are not authorized to modify it, not authorized to polish chambers, not authorized to change anything, use it as issued or face punishment. Chen doesn't care. Torres is dead. 6 more men almost died. The rifles don't work. If polishing the chamber fixes the problem, he'll polish the chamber. If the army wants to court-martial him for making a weapon work, that's their problem. His problem is keeping his men alive. That's all that matters. He takes Torres's rifle, the one that got Torres killed. He's going to fix it, make it work, make sure no one else dies the way Torres did. He needs polishing compound, fine grit. He doesn't have any. The firebase doesn't stock it. So he improvises, takes cleaning compound, valve grinding compound from the motor pool, mixes it with oil, creates a makeshift polishing paste. He wraps cloth around a chamber brush, coats it with compound, inserts it into the chamber, rotates, hand polishing, slow, methodical, hundreds of strokes, thousands, for hours, until his arm aches, until his hand cramps, until the chamber feels different, smoother, less rough. He cleans the compound out, inspects the chamber. It's smoother. Not mirror polished, but better, significantly better. The rough machining marks are gone. The surface is more uniform, more consistent. Will it work? He doesn't know. It's theory, untested, could be worthless, could make it worse. Only one way to find out. He needs to test it, needs to fire the rifle, needs to see if polishing prevents stuck cases, but he can't test at the firebase range. Too visible, too official. Someone will ask why he's testing. We'll see the modified chamber. We'll ask questions. We'll report him. He needs to test in secret, during a patrol, during contact if possible. Real conditions, real ammunition, real carbon buildup. That's the only valid test. March 24th. Chen's squad goes on patrol. Chen carries Torres's rifle, the one he polished. His personal rifle is clean, unmodified. He could carry that, but he wants to test the theory. Needs to know if polishing works. So he carries the modified rifle, the illegal rifle, the weapon that could get him court-martialed. The patrol is routine, no contact, no opportunity to test. Chen returns to base, the rifle unfired, the theory untested. March 28th, another patrol. This time they find something. Viet Cong bunker complex, occupied. The platoon leader calls artillery, orders suppressive fire from the squad while artillery adjusts. This is Chen's chance. Real firing.
Real conditions, real test. Chen fires, 30 rounds, full magazine, rapid fire. The rifle cycles smoothly, no jams, no failures. Every round fires and extracts, 30 for 30. Perfect function. He reloads, fires another magazine. 30 rounds, no jams. 60 rounds total, 0 failures. The polished chamber works, the rifle works. Torres's rifle, the one that killed him through failure, now functions perfectly. But Chen isn't satisfied. 60 rounds isn't enough data. He needs more, needs to stress test it, needs to see when it fails, if it fails. Over the next week, Chen fires Torres's rifle every chance he gets. Patrols, contacts, training. He accumulates 240 rounds through the modified rifle. 0 malfunctions, perfect function. The polished chamber prevents stuck cases, prevents failures, makes the rifle work. Meanwhile,
other rifles in the platoon continue failing. Standard issue, unmodified. 4 more jams in the next week. Chen watches them fail, watches soldiers fight their weapons, knows his rifle won't fail, knows polishing works. April 3rd, 1967. Major firefight ambushed, heavy contact, 20 minutes of sustained fire. Chen fires 180 rounds. The rifle works flawlessly, feeds, fires, extracts, cycles, perfect reliability, 0 failures. Around him, 3 rifles jam, stock rifles, unmodified. They fail exactly as predicted, stuck cases, fouled chambers, dead rifles. But Chen's works. Torres's polished rifle works. Through 180 rounds of sustained fire, through the exact conditions that kill stock rifles, the modification works, the theory is proven. Polishing the chamber solves the stuck case problem. That night, Chen gathers his squad, 8 men, shows them Torres's rifle, says, "This is Torres's rifle, the one that got him killed. I modified it, polished the chamber. Smooth surface prevents carbon buildup, prevents stuck cases. This rifle has fired 420 rounds since modification. 0 failures. 0. Through conditions that killed 3 stock rifles today. The modification works." Specialist Wade asks, "Isn't modifying government property illegal?" Chen, "Yes, court-martial offense, but being dead is worse. I'd rather face court-martial than watch another man die because his rifle failed. So here's the deal. I can modify your rifles, polish the chambers, make them work. But it's your choice. If you want a working rifle, I'll fix it. If you want to follow regulations and risk dying, keep your stock rifle. Your choice." Everyone chooses modification. All 8. They want working rifles, they want to survive. They don't care about regulations, they care about coming home alive. Chen spends the next 3 days polishing chambers, 8 rifles, hours per rifle. Meticulous, careful, making them smooth, making them work, making them reliable. Over the next month, April 1967, Chen's modified rifles prove themselves. 0 failures across 200+ rounds per rifle. Perfect reliability. The modification works consistently across multiple rifles, multiple conditions, multiple engagements. It's not luck, It's engineering. It's solving the problem the army won't acknowledge. Word spreads. Other squads hear about Chen's modifications. They ask questions, want details, want the same reliability. Chen teaches them, shows them how to polish chambers, what compound to use, how many strokes, how to test, how to verify smoothness. The modification spreads squad to squad, platoon to platoon, not officially, through grapevine, through soldiers teaching soldiers. By May 1967, 40 rifles in the battalion had been modified, all working better, all showing improved reliability. The soldiers call them Chen Specials, rifles that work, rifles you can trust, rifles that won't fail when you need them. But the army notices soldiers are modifying weapons, notices unauthorized alterations, notices violation of regulations, and the army responds. May 15th, 1967. Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Robert Walsh orders inspection, all weapons, looking for unauthorized modifications, looking for violations, looking to enforce regulations. The inspection finds 43 modified rifles, polished chambers, unauthorized alterations. Government property destroyed. Walsh is furious, calls it vandalism, calls it destruction of military equipment, calls it court-martial offense, orders all modified rifles confiscated, orders soldiers to return to stock rifles, orders Chen to his office. Walsh sits behind his desk. Chen stands at attention. Walsh says, "Sergeant Chen, you modified 43 M16 rifles. You polished chambers without authorization. You destroyed government property. You violated regulations. You encouraged others to do the same. This is serious. This could end your career. What do you have to say?" Chen, "Sir, the stock M16 has a 30–40% failure rate in jungle conditions. Stuck cases from powder fouling. My modifications reduce failure rate to near zero. 43 modified rifles have fired over 8,000 combined rounds with 0 stuck case failures."
The modification works. It saves lives. Walsh, that's not the point. You don't have authority to modify weapons. You violated regulations. You could have submitted a report, gone through proper channels, requested official modifications, but you took it upon yourself to destroy government property. That's not acceptable. Chen, "Sir, proper channels take months, years. Men die while we wait for bureaucracy. Private Torres died because his rifle jammed. I won't let that happen again. I modified the rifles to save lives. If that's a court-martial offense, so be it. But those 43 rifles work. Stock rifles don't. That's reality." Walsh, I understand your frustration. I understand the M16 has problems, but we can't have soldiers modifying weapons. We need standardization, accountability. If everyone modifies their rifle differently,
We can't maintain them, can't replace parts, can't ensure quality. You created a logistical nightmare. Chen, "Sir, with respect, the logistical nightmare is issuing rifles that fail 40% of the time. My rifles work. Stock rifles don't. The men prefer working weapons over standardized failures." Walsh is silent. He knows Chen is right. The M16 is a disaster. Failure rates are unacceptable. Men are dying. But Walsh is trapped by regulations, by procedure, by bureaucracy. He can't officially authorize modifications, but he can't deny they work. Finally, Walsh says, "Here's what's going to happen. I'm confiscating all modified rifles. They'll be sent to Division Armourer for evaluation. Division will determine if your modifications are safe and effective. If they approve, we might implement them officially. If they don't, you face court-martial for destruction of government property. In the meantime, you and everyone involved will return to stock rifles."
Understood? Chen. Understood, sir, but respectfully, men will die while division evaluates. The modification works now. Soldiers should be allowed to use it now, not after division approves. Now. Walsh. That's not your decision. It's not mine either. Division will evaluate, will follow their guidance. Dismissed. Chen salutes. Leaves. Returns to his squad, tells them the news. The modified rifles are confiscated. They're back to stock rifles. Back to weapons that fail. Back to 40% failure rate. Back to risk. The squad is angry, frustrated. They had working rifles. Now they're back to garbage because regulations matter more than survival. Because the army cares more about standardization than reliability. Because bureaucracy moves slower than death. But Chen isn't done. He still has Torres's rifle, his personal weapon. The first one he modified. He didn't turn it in, kept it hidden, reported it lost on patrol. It's illegal. It's theft of government property. It's another court-martial offense, but Chen doesn't care. That rifle works. He's keeping it. He's using it. And if the army wants to punish him for surviving with a working weapon, that's their choice. Over the next 2 weeks, late May 1967, the battalion returns to stock M16s. Failure rates increase immediately. 7 jams in the first week, 11 in the second week. 3 men wounded because their rifles failed during contact. The modified rifles are gone. The failures return. Reality proves Chen's point. Modified rifles work. Stock rifles don't. June 1st, 1967. Division Armourer releases report on Chen's modifications. Evaluation of 43 modified M16 rifles shows chamber polishing significantly reduces carbon buildup and stuck case failures. Modified rifles demonstrated 98% reliability compared to 60% for stock rifles under identical conditions. Modification violates manufacturer specifications and voids warranty. However, modification is effective and appears safe. Recommend further testing before official implementation. The report proves Chen was right. The modification works, but the army won't approve it, won't officially authorize it, because it voids warranty, because it's not manufacturer approved, because bureaucracy demands compliance even when compliance kills soldiers. Lieutenant Colonel Walsh reads the report, calls Chen to his office, says, "Division confirmed your modification works, 98% reliability, significant improvement, but they won't authorize it officially. Voids warranty, liability issues, legal complications, so officially soldiers cannot modify rifles. Understand?" Chen: "Yes, sir. Officially soldiers cannot modify rifles." Walsh looks at Chen carefully, says slowly, "Officially soldiers cannot modify rifles. Officially, you're ordered not to teach modifications. Officially, any soldier caught modifying weapons will face punishment." Pause. "But unofficially, I can't stop soldiers from maintaining their weapons, from cleaning thoroughly, from ensuring their rifles function properly. What soldiers do to their rifles during cleaning, that's between them and their weapons. As long as rifles function and soldiers survive, I have no reason to inspect too carefully. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Chen understands perfectly. Walsh is giving unofficial permission. Can't say it directly, can't authorize modifications officially, but he's telling Chen, do what works. Keep soldiers alive. I won't look too closely, just don't make it obvious. Chen: "I understand completely, sir. I'll ensure soldiers maintain their rifles properly." Walsh: "Good. Dismissed." Chen returns to his squad, spreads the word. Modifications are officially forbidden, but unofficially allowed. Polish your chambers, make your rifles work. Just don't advertise it. Don't create documentation. Don't give the army evidence. Do what works. Stay alive. The modifications resume, not openly, not officially.
But every soldier in Chen's platoon learns chamber polishing, learns how to make rifles work, learns Chen's technique. The knowledge spreads, again, through grapevine, through soldiers teaching soldiers, through desperation, creating innovation. By July 1967, over 100 rifles in the battalion are modified, unofficially, secretly, against regulations but with tacit permission. The failure rate drops, reliability improves, soldiers survive. Nobody talks about it, nobody documents it, but everyone knows modified rifles work. Chen's technique saves lives. August 14th, 1967, major battle. NVA regiment attacks the firebase. Sustained assault. Heavy fighting. Chen's platoon is on the perimeter, taking heavy fire, returning fire. The battle lasts 4 hours, intense, desperate. Survival measured in rounds fired and reliability maintained.
Chen fires 340 rounds through Torres's modified rifle. 0 failures. Perfect function. Around him, his squad fires modified rifles. 2,400 combined rounds. 3 failures. 99.9% reliability. The modified rifles work flawlessly through the most intense combat they've experienced. Nearby different platoon. Stock rifles, unmodified. Failure rate, 28%. 7 rifles jammed during the battle. 7 soldiers fighting their weapons, while NVA soldiers shoot at them. 2 killed, 4 wounded. The casualties are directly attributable to rifle failures. Men died because their rifles jammed. Men in Chen's platoon survived because their rifles worked. After the battle, after medevac, after casualty reports, the statistics are undeniable. Chen's platoon, 2,400 rounds fired, 3 failures, 0.1% failure rate. 0 deaths from weapon malfunction. Adjacent platoon, 1,800 rounds fired, 22 failures, 28% failure rate. 2 deaths directly attributable to jammed rifles. The difference is chamber polishing, Chen's modification, the technique the army won't officially authorize but unofficially tolerates, the illegal modification that saves lives. Lieutenant Colonel Walsh reviews the reports, sees the statistics, sees the correlation between modifications and survival, makes quiet decision. Expand unofficial tolerance. Don't ask about modifications. Don't inspect too carefully. Let soldiers do what works. Let Chen teach. Keep soldiers alive through selective blindness. Walsh calls Chen, says, "I'm assigning you to battalion training. You'll teach weapon maintenance to all incoming soldiers. Teach them proper cleaning, proper care. How to keep rifles functioning. Whatever maintenance techniques you think are important, whatever procedures ensure reliability, teach them. Official approval, official assignment. What you teach is your discretion." Chen: "Sir, are you authorizing me to teach chamber polishing?" Walsh: "I'm authorizing you to teach proper weapon maintenance. What you consider proper maintenance is your professional judgment as an experienced NCO. I trust your judgment. Teach whatever procedures keep rifles functioning and soldiers alive." Chen: "Understood, sir. I'll develop comprehensive maintenance training." Over the next 3 months, August to November 1967, Chen trains 240 soldiers, teaches them chamber polishing, teaches them that the technique is unofficial, not in the manual, not officially authorized, but effective, necessary, life-saving.
He shows them Torres's rifle, tells Torres's story, says, "This rifle killed Private Torres because it failed. I modified it. Now it works. It saved my life 20 times, saved my squad repeatedly. The army won't officially approve the modification, But the army won't officially stop you from maintaining your rifle properly. What you do is your choice. Die with a stock rifle or survive with a modified rifle. Choose. Everyone chooses modification. All 240. They learn chamber polishing. They modify their rifles. The technique spreads beyond Chen's battalion to other battalions, other regiments, through soldiers rotating, through training, through desperation, spreading innovation. By December 1967, thousands of M16s in Vietnam are modified, unofficially, secretly, against regulations, but saving lives. The army never officially authorizes it, never acknowledges it, never documents it, but also never stops it, never court-martials soldiers for it, never punishes Chen for teaching it. The army maintains plausible deniability. Officially, modifications are forbidden. Unofficially, they're tolerated. Officially, the M16 is reliable as issued. Unofficially, every soldier knows it isn't. Officially, soldiers follow regulations. Unofficially, soldiers do what works. September 1967, 6 months after Torres died, 6 months of modifications, 6 months of proving chamber polishing works. The army finally announces official M16 improvements. Chrome-plated chambers, prevents corrosion and fouling, improved ammunition with cleaner powder, better cleaning kits issued with every rifle, revised training emphasizing maintenance. The official improvements take 6 months to reach Vietnam, 6 months of production, 6 months of shipping, 6 months of bureaucracy. By March 1968, 1 year after Torres died, improved M16s start arriving. But Chen's modifications are already there, already working, already saving lives. The army's chrome plating achieves the same result as Chen's hand polishing. But Chen's technique has been working for a year, has been saving soldiers while the army implemented official solutions. Soldiers didn't die waiting for chrome-plated chambers. They survived using field modifications. December 1968.
Chen's tour ends, 21 months in Vietnam. He's trained 600 plus soldiers in chamber polishing. His technique has spread to thousands. Failure rates have dropped from 40% to under 5%. Hundreds of lives saved. All through an unofficial modification the army never authorized. Chen rotates home. His last day in Vietnam, he looks at Torres's rifle, the rifle that killed Torres through failure, the rifle Chen rebuilt, the rifle that saved Chen's life countless times, the rifle that started everything. He could turn it in, could return it to the armory, but he doesn't. He keeps it, takes it home. Illegal, theft of government property, another court-martial offense, but Chen doesn't care. That rifle represents something, represents refusing to accept failure, represents fixing problems the army won't acknowledge, represents Torres's death meaning something. Chen is keeping it. The army can court-martial him if they want, but he's keeping Torres's rifle. In 1995, at Vietnam Veterans Conference, Chen meets soldiers he trained, soldiers who learned chamber polishing, who modified their rifles, who survived because of it. One veteran, James Wade, says, "Sergeant Chen, you taught me chamber polishing in August 1967. I used that technique my entire tour. My rifle never jammed, never failed. Not once. I fired over 4,000 rounds through my modified rifle. 0 failures. Your modification saved my life, multiple times. In firefights where stock rifles jammed, mine worked. I'm alive because you taught me, because you refused to accept failure, because you fixed the M16 when the army wouldn't. Thank you. You saved my life." Another veteran, Michael Morrison, says, "I arrived in Vietnam in September 1967. You trained me, showed me Torres's rifle, told his story, taught me chamber polishing, said it was unofficial but necessary. I modified my rifle. It worked perfectly. When I rotated home, I taught other soldiers before I left. They taught others. Your technique spread throughout the battalion, throughout the division. Thousands of soldiers learned it. Thousands survived because of it. You created an underground network of knowledge, a secret that saved lives. The army never officially acknowledged it, but every soldier who used it knows. You fixed the M16, not the army. You. Chen responds, I didn't fix the M16 alone. I discovered one solution, but every soldier who learned it, taught it, spread it, they fixed it too. The M16 became reliable not through army programs, but through soldiers refusing to die with failed rifles, through desperate innovation, through sharing knowledge, through choosing survival over regulations. I started it, but thousands finished it. That's the real story, not one sergeant. Thousands of soldiers doing what works. That's what fixed the M16. Wade asks, do you still have Torres's rifle, the first one you modified? Chen, yes, I kept it. Took it home, illegal, but I kept it. That rifle killed Torres through failure. I rebuilt it, made it work. It saved my life for 21 months. It represents everything. The failures, the modifications, the unofficial solutions, the lives saved. I couldn't turn it in. That rifle means too much. It's Torres's legacy. It's proof that one person refusing to accept failure can change everything. Today, the M16 is legendary, reliable, proven, standard US military rifle for decades. But that reputation was earned through blood and unofficial modifications. Early M16s failed catastrophically, killed soldiers through malfunctions, created distrust in new technology. What saved the M16 wasn't army programs, though those helped eventually. What saved it was soldiers who refused to die, who modified rifles illegally, who taught each other, who spread solutions through underground networks, who made the M16 work not through official channels, but through desperation and innovation. Chen is 86 years old now, retired, living in California, still has Torres's rifle mounted on his wall, reminder of failure turned to success, of unofficial solutions,
of soldiers fixing what the army wouldn't acknowledge was broken. When asked what he wants remembered, Chen says, I want people to know that the M16 didn't become reliable because the army fixed it. It became reliable because soldiers refused to die with failed rifles, because we modified them, because we taught each other, because we chose survival over regulations, because Torres died and I refused to let anyone else die the same way. That's what fixed the M16, not engineering, not programs, soldiers who refused to accept failure. That's the legacy, that's the truth. That's what made the M16 work. That's the story, the rifle that jammed in combat, the sergeant who rebuilt it, the illegal modification that saved hundreds of lives, the unofficial solution the army never authorized but never stopped.
The underground network of knowledge that fixed the M16 when official programs failed, the legacy of Private Torres, killed by rifle failure, whose death meant something because one sergeant refused to let it happen again. Chen rebuilt Torres's rifle, made it work, taught hundreds, who taught thousands, who survived because they learned, because they modified, because they refused to die with weapons that failed. That's how the M16 became reliable, not through army programs, through soldiers fixing it themselves, through choosing survival, through illegal modifications that worked when authorized rifles failed. The rifle they mocked, the plastic toy, the weapon that killed through failure, became legendary, not because the army fixed it, because soldiers like Chen fixed it, because desperation created innovation.
Because one man's obsession with keeping his squad alive created solutions the army never acknowledged, but every soldier knew worked. That's the truth. That's the legacy. That's what made the M16 reliable.